Hey everyone, it's Gina. You're listening to Seer Sessions. Today I have a session for you. I'm the client. My hypnotist Stephanie is back. The intention for this session was to examine what is cringe to me in general. What else can I understand about it so I can move through it a little bit better? The reason why this is on my mind is because sometimes I can feel the idea of cringe holding me back. Is really the shortest way I can put that. And I wanted to be able to understand more about it, kind of when to lean into it, how to bounce back, and any other wisdom that my higher self, my eternal soul might have for me on this topic. So you can be a little bug in the corner of the room and listen to this session. The video of this session is available on YouTube. That link, along with Stephanie's links, are in the show notes. So my intention for the session was to examine the phenomenon of cringe. And specifically where Stephanie led me to was to the kitchen on the red planet. One of the things I talk about in relation to cringe, and to me personally, and like where I'm at with it today, one of the things that came up was this idea of repulsion. And what I'm noticing is in editing this episode and just kind of reflecting on that experience for me, as I am here today recording this, it's not necessarily like I'm leaning into repulsion. What it is really is I'm doing things that used to repulse me or make me feel cringe without any feeling of repulsion or cringe. It's almost like the reverse negative of it all. Anyway, I'm feeling both pretty strongly, so I wanted to jump in and see what I could find out. So off to the red planet we go. My work is so interesting. It helps me a ton. I see it help other people. But sometimes if a person is like, oh, I want to listen to your podcast, I feel cringe. But it has more to do with who I think they are and what I think their beliefs are. At the end of the day, in the regular ass world, this is weird. And so to have someone who's looking at it as a curiosity, that makes me feel cringe. But I'm proud of my work. So sometimes it has to do with me. Sometimes it has to do with someone else's reactions. Sometimes I feel cringe just watching someone else. And this is also wrapped up in this idea of a repulsion and how much that plays into intuition. Like, oh, it's a yes, or I feel drawn to it. And if something typically repulses me, and now it's the exact same thing, but I'm not having repulsion, that is a signal.
Yeah.
Like, this is for you. It's weird, the idea between cringe and being repulsed by something. That was one of the reasons why I set down Past Lives in the Divine, because I was just like, it just doesn't feel right. And it was so difficult to edit. I just didn't want to listen to myself anymore. In all of that, though, when I dissected that instead of just leaving it, it was like, well, what would be fun for me to edit?
Yeah.
You know, what should Gina listen to over and over? Conversations with my higher self is something I should listen to over and over. And so to be able to go back and do it through that cringe moment, instead of just putting it away, leaning into it and being like, what really in this doesn't serve me? And it's like, well, I'm kind of bored with this. I'm kind of bored with the way I'm doing it. And that was a part of it, some misalignment there. There's all kinds of feeling within cringe.
A client recently, the one who went to a red planet, and it was very similar to what you were describing. She said when she first started listening to my podcast, she couldn't listen because of Julie's voice. There was something there, a disconnect that she felt. And then after we worked together, and she had done a lot of work, and when she listened, she felt this vibration coming from Julie's voice. And she said it's a frequency that she wasn't ready to listen to because she was feeling that vibration in herself. And that resonated so much because Julie is pure love. I can see it in different scenarios where we might feel repulsed by something because we don't feel worthy of it, or we're not like on that trajectory or like alignment yet. When we listen to it in the future, we might be getting the cringe from it because we're no longer in alignment with what that was. So it's like a frequency or vibration. I don't know, but it's all very interesting.
If the last year has taught me anything, it's that it's not about avoiding it. It's about intentionally walking by it or with it. Let's go to the red planet, like cue me there and into the kitchen. And then it'll lead to either I'll go see the council and we can ask the questions, or I'll go off alone somewhere and we can ask the questions. Just like you did the last time, ask questions about the travel, if I'm moving from one place to another, ask about the red planet, any organic questions that come in about the red planet or cringe.
So just settling in and connecting to the divine light at the highest source. And 3, tuning into your senses whenever you're ready, just letting me know what you're aware of.
I'm in the kitchen and it's not music. It's the equivalent feeling of if I was cleaning my kitchen with the radio on or with music on. But the music is, it's coming from this wooden contraption, and it's not wind chimes, but it's similar in the sense of like you set it up, these wooden things clank back and forth. It makes a rhythmic noise, kind of like wind chimes a little bit. I, as Gina, hate this, but I also hate wind chimes. But Axe likes it, but I'm asking, why does she like this? So they're on this planet, and even though they're well resourced, it's very minimal. They don't have radios or music or anything like that, or not that I know of, but they do have these little wooden contraption things that just sit on your counter, almost like the size of like an old radio. It makes this noise, but it's almost like how we listen to music and we might listen to it to get revved up, excited for a workout or whatever. Or we might listen to music to slow down and relax or set the mood.
Yeah.
But what she's doing is it's similar, but it's more the noise and the vibration of it. It's like this jolt to her whole body because the planet itself is so quiet and still, except when it's the windy season or whatever, when there's sand blowing everywhere. It's really quiet and still. So it's a way to kind of break up energy in your house, to break it up in your own auric field. And that's what she's doing right now. And she likes it. She likes the feeling on her eardrums. She likes the roughness of it that, as Gina, that I don't like. But she really likes it. It's a scrubbing feeling, kind of.
And are you there with her or there as her?
I'm there as her. I can feel it like her. I see it through her eyes. And it's evening. This is how I kind of wind down after work. I got home and I'm dancing too. And it maybe only lasts like 10 minutes. Yeah, it's like a dog shaking after an emotional encounter. This is kind of my equivalent of like shaking off the workday.
And is this a routine, or do you feel like it was an especially hard work day?
Yeah, it is a routine, but today does feel different. It's as if this noise making machine, there's a word between noise and music that she would use to describe it. And I don't know what that word is, but it's not music to me. So I keep calling it noise. And she's like, it's not noise. If normally as Axe, I set it and it goes for 5 or 10 minutes, say. And today I did it like 2 or 3 times. Where normally I just do it once, but today I did it more. I'm way more out of breath than I normally am. And it feels good. Yeah, something was intense at work. And on the way out of work, someone said to me, maybe you should do more than one, whatever this exercise noise making with the noise making machine that I'm doing. It wasn't condescending. It was just, hey, remember to do that. Like, hey, remember to take out the garbage.
And so is this something that is common with the people, your coworkers, to do as well?
Yes, in the sense of intentionally knowing you have to move your body and the energy around your body after you feel heightened emotions. And it's just one of the things that you could do. There's a lot of things people do to get that energy out. Sometimes people will like go for a run or a fast walk, but in general, most people are out in the elements for work all day. So to go in their own dwelling, it feels good to do it inside too. And it could be like calisthenics, push-ups, stuff like that. It's really just moving your body any way you want. Yeah, it's really is that idea of if you experience stress, you need to get it out of your body, close the loop. There's so many ways to think about it, but it does come through movement.
Hmm.
And it's even more important there because just as we've talked about before, it's such a small community, such an intense environment. If you don't manage it, it can exacerbate any illness, any physical issues you might be having, which they don't have a ton of extra resources there. So it's one way to prevent overusage or things getting out of balance or people becoming dangerous or violent. And I'm trying to poke around to see what was so intense about the workday, but what's coming to mind is that I had a disagreement with someone that turned into an argument. Oh, this is interesting based on the topic. I had an argument with someone and it should have just been a disagreement, but for whatever reason, it turned into an argument and I felt more emotional than I want to as a person in general, as a person in this community, as a person who's in a leadership position in this community. Even being involved in one part of an argument is forgivable, but I'm not forgiving myself. Like it's just not a good look. It's not a good look at all. I'm feeling cringe. I'm feeling cringe about it. My reaction to that argument is worse of an emotional toll on me than the argument itself. And so I know that. So my gosh, the imagery I get, it's like the idea of infinity. Sometimes I'm shown something and it splits and it splits and it splits and it splits. And pretty soon I'm like, oh God, what was that? What was that? So I was kind of poking around. That idea of cringe seems so beneath what I know to be true about acts. And so I'm just kind of asking questions around that about how could you be so devolved? Essentially, I guess. Yeah, how could you be the one to pile it on more? Not to be condescending, but I would have thought she'd be more evolved than that.
Get the sense that it's like an emotion cringe in this scenario.
Oh, okay. Is it regret?
Hmm.
Which, I mean, outside of this podcast, I am a lot of times examining regret, my history with it, my comfortableness with regret. And I think is regret an emotion?
That's a good question.
I don't know. In this case, regret is really at the heart of it.
Okay.
And I'm feeling that as a cringe. I regret it and I feel embarrassed about it.
Mm.
In that case, that's what it is. Oh, it'll be good to edit this podcast episode because then I can really focus on that regret piece. Because I even will ask people, like, what is your relationship to regret? I'm so interested in it. I think it is so close. This is Gina from my point of view. It is so closely tied to cringe. It is a regret. It's not all regret is cringeful and not all cringe is regretful, maybe, but there is some overlap there, especially in my life as Gina. I see that for sure. And just everything I've been thinking about, if I apply that to cringe here, it's knowing that when you are dedicated to living a life of your choosing outside of the influence of the culture, and it's not that we're never influenced, we always are, but being conscious of that, consciously choosing what influences us. God, it's a lot coming in. When we're living like that, we can't blame anyone else. It becomes crystal clear that every choice we make, if it's wrong, it's our fault. And that responsibility alone can lead to paralysis. Some people aren't even conscious of that choice. But when you're living a life that is authentic to you and you're aware of the influences, you consciously choose those influences and you move forward, you do the best you can with where you're at. And because you're living in alignment with your soul, in communication with your soul's desire is to evolve and grow and shift and change and experience. That's what the soul wants. And so if you're in tune with that, you will evolve and grow. And you will look back and have the opportunity for cringe or regret because now you know better.
Mm.
And so, with that, it's wisdom. It's not about never experiencing regret. It's knowing that you probably will someday. And we can try not to, but to never look back. So, wisdom is being able to feel the regret, learn from it, feel the cringe, understand it, learn more about yourself, where you were, where you're going, what you intend for yourself. You feel that regret, you feel that cringe, and you know who you are. You've evolved beyond that. That's why you can feel those things.
Mm.
So instead of just feeling those things, focusing on those things, let those things be the nudge to say, how have you grown since then? She is acts saying having an earth suit like a human with emotions, there's always a chance of overflow. There's always a chance of overwhelm. There's always a chance of things becoming a little too heated. But in those moments, you see where you go. Where do you go in those moments? Do you go to self-blame? Do you blame other people? Do you not think of any of it and then lay face down on the couch? Do you not think of any of it and, focus on the work? Like, what do you do in those situations? And then what do you want to do in those situations? And use it to make yourself better is what an evolving soul would want to do. Better meaning closer to their more godlike self. Peaceful, loving, compassionate to themselves, to others. And so it's not never do your emotions overflow. It's just what do you do with them when they do? And so that's what she does. And so even though she's also now processing the self-inflicted emotions of cringe and regret and embarrassment, that's just a part of it too. She knows like that's just where her mind goes. When you know how to help yourself, then overflowing or feeling bad or reactive negatively here, there isn't the end of the world. You catch yourself and then you take care of yourself. You have to catch yourself earlier and take care of yourself sooner. And that's that whole exchange.
Are there any signs or anything she could explain about if this is related to compassion, self-loathing, or repulsion in any way?
Oh, okay, so compassion is how you let that go.
Mm.
Oh. Anytime you regret, anytime you would do something differently, if you notice yourself for any reason starting to beat yourself up, it's that self-compassion. There's some clarity she's outlining here. And she's saying self-compassion with a drive to move forward, not a self-compassion to let yourself off the hook if you want to if you're supposed to do A, B, and C, you want to do A, B, and C. I can't think of a good example there, but she's like, don't self-compassion yourself into complacency. Give yourself the compassion to really let that go, not continually crucifying yourself over and over in your mind. And sometimes that can mean instead of reliving the cringe or regretful moment over and over, sometimes compassion is anytime I'm thinking of that, I'm going to be thinking of something else. I need to change the subject, change the topic, put on music, do something else, put on a fun podcast or a book or whatever. Sometimes compassion is not thinking about the thing. Sometimes compassion is, I got to think about this. I got to really dissect what happened so it doesn't happen again.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you need the most in this moment? And what do you need next on your journey of becoming the highest and best version of you, the version of you that's the most compassionate, the most loving, the most wise? The repulsion part, her response to that is, why are you asking about just repulsion? And she zooms out and says, repulsion is just one way your body sends you a signal.
Mm.
And your body's always sending you a signal. So repulsion, there's the biological reason why we experience repulsion, but this is kind of emotional or mental repulsion. Something repulses you, even if it's unexplainable. To notice any sort of really strong push or pull within your body toward the external world, and not to just blindly follow it, but to recognize it's happening and then intentionally choose, yeah, I'm going to go in that direction, or no, I'm not going to do that anymore, or I'm not going to do that today. So she was asking why repulsion. And I know I put the question on the list. So she's asking me, like, you know what that is. And that's exactly what it is. It's another way your body speaks to you. And my body is like other people's bodies, where that's where they get a lot of messages, is this feeling in their body, physical, energetic, all kinds of ways that we can feel a feeling, physical or emotional. And so repulsion is one of them. She's saying, so when you feel something, pay attention to it. And when you don't feel it, that's a thing too. So if something is in front of you, like if something is in front of Gina, and it's something she's normally repulsed by. But in this instance, all the context clues are saying, this is for you. And the repulsion is gone. There's kind of this shine to it. There's all these intuitive signals Gina gets to say, hey, that's for me. A lack of repulsion in a situation that would usually be something that evokes repulsion within Gina, that's a signal. Yes, go toward it. Or it's a signal to be compounded by other signals. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily always take that as a yes personally. I'm just sharing my story.
And is there any insight we can get if one notices, like Gina, you mentioned you noticed recently you've been feeling more pulled towards that sensation of repulsion? Is that a specific sign, or are we able to ask our bodies to shift out of that specific sensation and move on to something different?
Okay, I'll take the last question first. Yes, we can. So I'm going to share this example, and I'm hoping I can pull more from it. Like, not that this is something that I even feel like I could pull off in my life, but here we go. When I was in Egypt, it was our first full day doing tourist things. We had this tour in a couple different tombs and Saqqara. And anyway, sometimes when you're in a very high energy place, you can feel incongruence between your resonance and the resonance around you. And it can lead to feeling like sweaty, dizzy, like you're going to maybe even throw up. And I've felt that lightly before. In certain situations, it's kind of like motion sickness, but like there's no reason for you to be motion sick, or at least that's how it is for me. And I felt that, but I felt that on levels that were so uncomfortable. And I'm like, I cannot go 2 weeks on some grueling tourist schedule feeling car sick the whole time. No. So at one point, I sat down and I was like, okay, I got to feel into this feeling. And that thought came to my head of, if I can feel this, I can feel something else. And I was just like, give me a knowing. I want a knowing of what to do, a knowing of what I'm feeling. I don't want to just feel nauseous. And I started to get a knowing, focus on this chakra or energy center, focus here, focus on this part of your body. And in doing that, I started getting different sensations in different parts of my body. And it was this directing energy within myself, as opposed to feeling this overall nauseous, sweaty feeling. I could hardly believe it at the time. 7 months later, that seems wild to me that happened, but it did happen. It was a big emotional experience to feel that shift. It was such a relief. So it is a yes, but first you have to be with it. You have to go within it. And it's reminding me of the energy clearing that we do in a hypnotic session when there's an energetic blockage or attachment within the body or the energetic field around the body, how we lean into it by saying, feel it, tell me more about it. Is there a shape? Is there a color? Is there a texture? Is there a message? Is there a mood? Like, really get to know it, and from there release it.
Mm,
It's similar of leaning into that repulsive feeling, for example, and understanding more of it.
yeah.
And then, was the first question repulsion for Gina, right?
Yeah.
What does
If
that mean
you've
or
been,
something?
because you've been experiencing that specific one more often,
Yep.
or like why you have the need to lean into it more lately. Like, what is the value, I guess?
The repulsion that Gina is feeling, it's like a ghost repulsion. So even though when I pause and think of that, actually, it's a little bit, it's almost like, it's not that I'm being anything besides myself. But the way I'm doing things or saying things or interacting in certain situations or people, I, as Gina, am seeing I have to act in ways that used to repulse me in order to get what I want. And that makes it sound like a manipulation. That's not what it is. It's just, I can't even think of one example right now. It's like the repulsion isn't there. And it's because I'm more committed every single year to living authentically, minimizing outside influence, being conscious of what is influencing me to the greatest extent that I can today. Because I'm doing that, my soul is expanding. It's expanding into wisdom. I can hold two polar opposites in my brain and not fucking melt or blame someone for something.
Yeah.
It can just be. For Gina specifically, I'm able to move into those ways of being because that repulsion isn't there, because I'm more conscious of where I'm going. I see that the judgment or beliefs I had that encouraged a repulsion to come in just aren't there anymore. Those beliefs have changed. Those judgments don't hold up because I'm so clear. So that's what it is. I'm just getting more clear on what I want. So repulsions from things that don't necessarily warrant repulsion for any reason are examined, because I used to be led by avoiding regret, which would, I guess, include cringe in this situation. And anything that repulsed me, I wouldn't even look at, and I would judge. And now I'm not that person at all. I can judge something and not hold it against that person.
Yeah.
I can see that these are my judgments. I wish I didn't believe that. I wish this wasn't in my brain. I will work to get rid of it. But in the meantime, I'm not going to hold this against this person. And that's an expansion, to be able to hold both of them. I hate that you did that. I'm not holding it against you. And I'm not talking about an abusive relationship. Obviously, take care of yourself. I'm talking about just regular ass people in your life. And so that is an expansion, to be able to hold that and not hate that person, blame that person for everything bad just because they're different. So that's just where I'm at on the journey right now, is that I'm seeing how much of what I want is on the other side of things that repulse me or have repulsed me or just evoke a lot of unnecessary fear.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually, those two are like two of the things that I'm really examining. It's like fear. Like that repulsion is to be examined like we examine our fears. Is this legit? Do I want this? Is this working for me? Do I need to get beyond it? Should I keep it? Only you know. And repulsion is the same.
Makes a lot of sense. And is there
Mm-hmm.
anything about creativity? Like, is cringe seeming to block creativity? Does that feel true?
Yes, it feels true. And Axe is explaining to me how she views creativity. I don't even think she really uses the word creativity. But when we use the word creativity, it's almost like the end result of some magic running through us. And that creativity, that manifestation, that creation, whatever it is that you made, that you brought into earth, is important. But what she focuses on is the magic that comes before that, the inspiration, the idea. The way she's explaining it, the quickest way I can translate it is it's similar to Reiki. What I remember from my Reiki training 10 years ago, forgive me if I'm wrong, but it's that we're energetic beings. And so our energy animates and surrounds this earth suit. So our energy has an earth suit. It's not that our earth suit has a soul. Within that is this constant flow of divine energy that also animates my soul. And that divine energy, part of it is God, and God is a creator. As that runs through us, we create. We are like gods. The greatest God is not creating followers. The greatest God is creating other gods. That's what it is. Whether you're this human looking thing on the red planet or you're a human on Earth, part of that energy that animates us is God, the ultimate creator. And so that energy we call creativity. It is everything that is needed to create. It's the ideas, it's the energy, it's the skills, it's the gifts, it's the communication. Everything can come through us. And the more dense energy you have within you, the lower frequency you're vibrating at, the harder it is to get that energy to flow through you. And so it becomes stagnant. No new ideas, no new skills, not learning anything new. But when that energy that we are is vibrating at a higher frequency, it's easier for the energy to come in and flow through and flow out. And then we get a lot of ideas, a lot of access to skills, gifts, drive, motivation, and energy to do it all. The resonance of your energy, higher frequency vibration or lower frequency vibration, in a human, it's the emotion that we hold. That can be indicative of our thoughts. Our thoughts can cause our emotions. At the heart of it, what's your emotional default setting? Where do you reside at naturally? And to work to become more peaceful, loving, grateful, joyful is to be vibrating at a higher frequency, to have access to more of this flow and everything that's in that flow. And then it kind of feeds itself, because when we are creative, when we are inspired, when we are doing and being, we are most happy as a human. We are our highest and best, operating for the highest and best of ourselves and the collective.
Yeah, so that has a lot to do with the sensation of feeling connected and intuitive even.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, I'm getting something. Okay. So I'm just going to take a minute and really feel this, because as Gina, I'm like, oh my God, I need this in my body so bad. When you're vibrating at a higher frequency and you are in that lighter, more expanded state, just like that God energy, that creativity, that magic runs through you easier. It's like the purest form of connection. So when we can connect with each other while we're creating as humans, it's so powerful. People think of that and they think of lover one plus lover two plus a baby. That's great. Yes. And there's more ways to do that don't include babies. And this is actually kind of blowing my mind as Gina. That experience of creativity and feeling inspired, feeling passionate, that feels good. And then to join in that flow with another person on any sort of creative project where everyone's heart is in it, it's just an even better way to build that community. But you can think of it as lover one plus lover two equals baby. It's the same thing. We should honor and revere relationships like that, the relationship we create, the things that we create in relationship. What are we creating together? In relationships, it seems like you're going to do this and I'm going to do that. I don't want to live that way, but it seems like that's what it is. And instead, she's thinking of it as what are we creating together? And that can literally be anything,
Yeah.
you know, you can, whatever, be celibate, play video games together. You can create a great sex life together. You can create art together. You can create a home together. You can create a vacation together. You can create travel together. You can create whatever you want. That's another way that people could connect to each other that we don't really do.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Even in the mundane things, like when you're cooking food with somebody else, it's a lot more enjoyable when you're doing it with someone that you love.
Way more. And life could be one little thing like that after another.
And does she have any insights into the vulnerability hangover and how to move through that quicker?
Compassion, self-compassion. And she's saying a vulnerability hangover is, so she's saying, say you record a podcast episode and you have a vulnerability hangover, just cut it out. Like, just cut that part out, which I do. And sometimes I'm like, can I forget about this? Do I feel like, of all the people I've worked with, do I feel like me saying this would be helpful to them? Even if I feel cringe, if the answer to that is an overwhelming yes, I leave it in there.
Yeah.
And so it's about understanding why you're feeling it, making an intentional choice. In that case, am I going to leave it or am I going to cut it? And then after that, whether you can get rid of it or if it's out there forever. Just have compassion. Have compassion because you want to change it and you can't. Have compassion because you've already changed since then.
Mm-hmm.
Have compassion because compassion is where you redirect your thoughts and your mind and your focus and your attention away from the continually beating yourself up, which makes us feel like we have an emotional hangover from anything. It's like that continually beating yourself up. And so to have compassion eases that because you're doing something else with your thoughts besides reliving it or beating yourself up. And those thoughts are just, they're helpful. It's like, hey, that sucks. Next time we'll do it differently. Hey, that sucks. I won't do it again at all. Hey, that sucks. Get over it because it's for the greater good. It's really just like on a case by case basis, but you have to be in tune with yourself. And then once you make that conscious decision of what happened and what are you doing with that energy or that situation now, then you have to put your thoughts in a compassionate space, in a space where you can move forward while being kind to yourself.
And my last question is there a better name to call you?
Every time I try to get a name, it's long, and the way they talk or the language that they talk in, they do use their voice, but it's different from ours. I can't get the name, and even the name Axe, I can't figure out what the name. It's like there's ends and H's in her name that I don't know. It's this weird sound, but every time I try to get the name, it's a lot of N's and H's, and I just can't even repeat it. So Axe for now, at least.
Amazing. Returning to the present moment. I'm going to count from 5 to 1, and when I reach 1, 5 and 1.
I had a thought the other day, and it came in again as I was leaving her, of like how her and her life just seems so peaceful and wonderful. And then I started really thinking about it, and I'm like, she's on a small ass planet with one small community, and she lives in a small dwelling. I would go batshit crazy. Like, I can't. When I'm there and I'm in it, it feels amazing. But I don't know, as Gina, I would be like, get me out of here. And it made me just look at the experiences within the red planet, whatever they are. But it made me just understand even more about my perception and how all this time I've had these experiences on that red planet, and it's always felt so enchanted and magical, but I've never thought of it from my Scorpio side where I'm like, but how awful is it here? When you hear all that, do you have any leftover questions about Cringe?
No, I feel like it answered actually more than I expected. So I had this idea of maybe I feel cringe because I was taught that growing up, if I were to do something like that, that would be embarrassing and I would be humiliating myself. That's exactly what it is. It's like those beliefs and judgments were bestowed upon you. I didn't have them until somebody shamed me when I did something like that. So then it kind of, it's like unraveling those beliefs and judgments that were put on you.
That is our episode for today. I created this podcast to showcase my work and the benefits of hypnosis and exploring these unseen realms within us and around us. If you enjoy these stories, share this podcast with someone. And if you want to have a session of your own, you can learn more about my work at seersessions.com.